Welcome to the initial episode of TT Office Hours. I'm Patrick Rooney, and I'm here to answer your question about the TT platform. I'm the product market manager for TT. I've been at TT for about 16 years now, working the product side in Xtrader and then the TT platform for 10 years or so. I've been in marketing now for about 6. And I guess you can call me a product expert because I certainly have a product expert on the platform, and I'm here to answer questions. I've got a little bit of a presentation set up for you. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to break this up into probably 2 little areas. I'm going to go through a quick presentation for 10, 12 minutes about TT order types. And we're going to go through some of those, how to configure them, what the different order types are. And then from there, we'll go into the questions. We've had a good set of questions that have come in, and we're going to address those as well, see if I can answer them for you here in the webinar. And we'll get into some of the TT order types. TT order types, some background on them. We actually developed these back in the Xtrader days, back about 9, 10 years ago, I'd say, something like that. And the reason behind the generation of TT order types was we wanted to normalize order entry across exchanges. A lot of the exchanges, particularly going back 10, 12 years ago, had different order types that they supported. They didn't all support the same thing. A good example of that was Iceberg orders. Iceberg orders were native at CME, native at, I think, ICE, and that was really about it. I think 1 or 2 other exchanges, but a lot of brokers, a lot of traders wanted to have that functionality at all the different exchanges. They wanted to normalize it, and that's kind of what TT does. You kind of normalize your functionality and your exchanges into one simple platform, so you don't have to think about it. You don't have to do a lot of configuration. You don't have to change things. You can do a lot of the same stuff that you do at CME, at Eurex. You can do the same thing at ICE. You can do it all because all the order types are there now. We have that all folded together. And that's why the TT order types kind of evolved back in the Xtrader days. And one of the nice things about the TT order types, too, is the fact that you can configure them. There's a great deal of configurations. You don't have to configure them, so you don't have to get worried about the idea that you don't have to say, oh, there's all these configurations. What am I going to do? You don't have to. You can do them right out of the box, right out of the gun, and you're going to have a lot of great tools right there. What the configurations will help you with is it gives you a way to develop your own edge. It gives you a way to basically have your own flavor, have your own edge of executing these orders. And when you look at an iceberg or something like that, if you've got 20 traders doing the same iceberg into the front treasury note features, you're all doing the same thing. No one's really got any edge there. It's really a question of who got there first or whatever. But when you're using the configurations part of it and you mix in things like with a tick and offset and a lot of different things that are built into them, I'm going to get into these different configurations. You're going to develop a little more of an edge. You can add some more flavor to your order entry and hopefully have a little bit better or more efficient process for your style of trade to keep those orders in and get a little bit more priority. Executing brokers, that was a huge thing. That's a huge thing for them because that's what they sell. They sell their own edge. They sell their own proprietary mechanisms, how they're going to orders. And some of these order types we have here were developed specifically for order desk. Some were developed specifically for market makers. Some were developed specifically for prop traders. They came to us and said, hey, we need these type of things. We got to build them. Well, can you build them? We built them. We pushed them out. Now they're available to everybody. So let's go into some of the order types. I'll go over a quick little run of all the different order types first, so you get a feel of them. TT bracket. TT bracket is, I'm going to move this over a little bit. Get rid of this. TT bracket is an order type that was new to the TT platform, came out 6 years ago. And what it effectively is it allows you to enter a limit order or market order or a stop order, actually. That could be a market order. That once executed, once filled, is going to automatically put out your profit order as well as your predictive stop order. So let's say it's a buy stop, or if it's a TT bracket order, and I want to buy at 68.21 or 68.20 5 times. Now, if this bracket gets executed, it's going to put a profit order up here and a stop order down here. And I just did the one out of the box, so it should put an order 5 ticks higher, 5 ticks lower. Let's see if I actually get filled here. And I didn't. So I'm going to go ahead and try it again. I'm just going to put one basically at the market. I'm going to lift the offer on a bracket order. Okay, I'm just kidding. All right, now I got filled. And then put my profit order up here, put my stop order down here. And the nice thing about this order, too, is the fact that this is a partial fill. and it put the protective stop in immediately anyway. This is the parent order, and this is the child order. Let me explain that real quick. One part of synthetic orders has to do with parent orders and child orders. The parent order is essentially the logic behind the order type itself. It's basically saying what this whole order is trying to do. And you can see right here, it says it's working a quantity of 3, executed 2, because my original order type was for 5 contracts. So I executed 3 and I'm still working 2. So this is the parent called the TT bracket, and it's submitting single limit orders and stop orders around that to bracket it and to get your fill in. And now it's all filled and done. MD Traders highlighted. I bought 5 contracts at a price of $68.22, and it put my profit order up here 5 ticks higher and a stop order down here 5 ticks lower. And one thing to note, I know this is really small in here right now, but that's a stop order. So it has that little U right there as an indicator to show it's undisclosed. So no one sees that. That's sitting at a TT server that's co-located at the exchange. It's not actually in the exchange order book, as you would imagine. Well, the profit order, of course, is. That's resting in the order book. So that's the TT bracket order. And we'll move this over again a little bit. Another order type that's quite popular is TT Iceberg. TT Iceberg, it's a slicer order. There's different types of TT order types, and slices is definitely one big bucket. The slicer orders are an example of an iceberg. You can take 100 lot, you can break it down into, let's say, 520 lots. You could take a 50 lot and break it down into 10 5 lots. You can slice things down smaller. So you don't want to move the market. You want to be a little more quiet, a little more stealthy. You're getting a big order type executed. You're going to do a TT Iceberg. And this is an example of some of the configurations. Like in this case, I'm going to put an order type of, let's say I want a quantity of 100. And with this particular configuration, I'm going to get rid of that configuration. Just put a generic one, but you'll have a bunch of configurations. You just split your display quantity, how many you want to actually display, as well as a variance. And the variance is going to be how much you want to change that. But I'm going to go into the parameters here once we get through all of them. I'm going to explain all the order types first if we could. TTF touch. TTF touch is another measure of stealth. That order will not go to the exchange matching engine until that price is actually traded or gets close to it. Depends on how you configure that TTF touch order type. So that logic actually rests at the exchange, not at the exchange matching engine, but it rests at your co-located server, TT's co-located server that is next to the exchange matching engine. So it's not going to be in the order book. Other traders don't see that until the parent order, the if touch logic, is actually triggered. At that point, your children go in, and we can get into that in a little bit. But an OCO order, TT OCO order is, hopefully you all know what an OCO order is. It's basically you want to buy an order, or you want 2 orders in there, you want to buy and you want to sell. So an example would be, here's a 100 lot, and I want to buy down here, or I want to put in a stop limit up here. And that would do it. Now, effectively, let's see, why would I do that? If I was short or something like that, I would have it. I want a profit order down here, a stop loss up here. It's basically, it's kind of like a bracket order, but the bracket order puts in the initial order as well. First, what you would want to use with a OCO is if you already have a current position. Generally, it's going to be used if you already have a current position in there and you want to protect that, and or you want to have a profit order and you want to do a stop order. So you protect a stop and a profit order, you bracket it, you OCO it. It's essentially that way by putting in 2 orders around your current position. TT retry. TT retry, you may or may not even use. That's kind of an order type that was developed primarily for some traders in Australia a long time ago. We actually called it a machine gun order for a while. And what it really does is it's useful for if you're trading a TAS contract, perhaps. If you're trading some sort of market where order book priority is very, very important, you need to get in, and you're trying to get in before the market opens up, or right as the market opens up. This is how a retry is generally used. It's used to, I want to start pounding at that exchange matching engine, get my order, my limit orders in the book as soon as it opens up. So you might start a retry order a little bit before the market even opens up. I'll open that up so you can configure a little bit. But in the configuration, you'll see number of retries set at 30, retry intervals every 30 microseconds. Because what we're going to do is we're going to send that order at the time you specify. You can set a start time, just hear it here. We set the actual start time, the hour, minutes, seconds, milliseconds. And we'll start sending orders because they're going to get rejected if the market's not open yet. but they'll get rejected, rejected, rejected. Then once the market opens up and you're still sending these retry orders, it'll get in there. So words is useful. It's useful for like a TAS contract. Anything a contract that you want to get order priority at the open is very, very important. There's where you might want to try a retry order. Mind you, you're doing a lot of messaging with the retry order, so you have to be very careful of that too, because you're going to get a lot of rejects when you do that. So that's kind of heavy. It's kind of a heavy load order type. It has some nuance to it. You got to keep your head about. TT stop. TT stop order it's not just a stop. There's much more to it than just a standard stop. Even going back to when we did TT order types, again, not all exchanges supported all the same type of stops. You couldn't do like a stop market at some exchanges. You only do stop limits. You can do trailing stops really at most exchanges, but we kind of changed that. So you can do trailing stops all over the place, which is a nice thing. So you've got a bunch more ways you can actually enter stop orders now than you previously could. And if we have time, we'll get through into the different order types and what you can do. But let's get through all of them first, and we'll look at getting into that. Let's see, TT time duration. TT time duration is another stealthy order type that's used if you want to hide a large quantity effectively. Let's say you want to enter, you want to buy 1,000 contracts or 100 contracts or 20 contracts or 5 contracts over the course of an hour. That's what you can do with the time duration. You can basically specify that every, let's see, 2 seconds or every 2 minutes for duration of 10 minutes. I want to place an order. I want to slice this order down. Let's say it's going to be a 100 lot. And every 2 minutes, I want to, over the course of 10 minutes, every 2 minutes, I want to put an order in. It's going to vary by 50%, the actual quantity. And it's going to do that. It's going to keep putting your slices in over the course of 10 minutes. Every 2 minutes, it'll put that order in there. That's what a time duration is. The duration is 10 minutes. Interval is going to be 2 minutes. And it just basically stealthily puts your orders in throughout time. And there's more configurations down here. We can get into that if we have time in a little bit. TT time sliced. Pretty much the same thing, but it's going to say, like, over the course of an hour, I just want to put out my slices. I want to put out slices every couple of minutes throughout the course of an hour. It's not going to say how long I actually want to go for necessarily. So there's some slight nuance between the two, between the duration and the time sliced order. With TT time. What are TT times used for? TT time are generally used for, you can create your own synthetic, like market on close or market on open type of order type. So let's say I want to, let's say I have an open position in the E-mini and I'm long 5 E-mini and I want to leave today because I'm going to the Cubs game or I want to go to the Yankees game. What do I want to do? So I want to put in a market on close to sell out of that position. You can do that now with a TT timed order type. You can basically say I'm going to use Central Standard Time here because I'm in the Central Time in Chicago area. I want to put this order in at 3:14:15, 14 minutes after and 15 seconds after that, 3:14:15, I want to put this order type in and I want to sell 5 at the market, or I want to sell 5 at the best bid, or so I want to sell 5 at the best bid plus 1, whatever you want to do. You can do a TT timed order. The TT timed order will allow you to do that. You can also set a date on a TT timed order and say that I want to, on, let's say, unemployment day, I want to buy bonds, 3 minutes before the unemployment number at 7:30 on a Friday morning. You can do that. You can set that out for like 3 days forward and say I want to do a timed order at buy 10 U.S. December Treasury bonds at the best bid or at the market at, what would that be? That would be 7:29, 59, 15, or whatever you want to do. So that's what a TT timed order does. Allows you to go in and set a time. It's like this. Time and a date to actually enter your order. That is a TT timed order. TT trailing limit. What is TT trailing limit? TT trailing limit, I kind of refer to as the buy the dip order type. What TT trailing limit's going to do is it's going to place an order. It's going to follow the market, and you're going to buy a dip. This is how we might buy a dip. Let's say the market's trading at a price of 15, and you want to trail the market by 5, and you want to buy it if it goes down there. So what it's effectively going to do is, if the market goes up, it's going to trail the market up higher. but if the market goes down, it's going to stop. It's not going to follow down. It's not going to follow down lower. So effectively, that's if the market's trading at 15 and I want to trail by 5, if it trades up to 17, it'll tick up to 12. But then as the market moves back down, it's just going to buy those at 12. It's not going to move down with it. So a TT trailing limit effectively does that. I kind of refer to it as the buy the dip or sell the rip order type, because it's going to allow you to go in a market direction, but it's not going to go against that market. It's going to go with the market. It won't go against the market. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, let me know. TT volume duration. TT volume duration, again, is the same thing as like a time duration, but it's going to be based on the volume. So when every X amount of contracts trade, I want to trade some as well. So let's say every time 100 contracts trade, I want to buy 10. That is what a volume duration order type is going to do. Here's the configuration pane. See the interval. So interval right there, let's set that to 1,000. Well, the default set is set at 100. So set it to 100. So for every 100 contracts traded over the course of the next 1,000 contracts, I want to buy pieces. I can vary that by, again, 60%, whatever I want to do. And it'll vary the quantity I buy, but it's going to buy over the projected next 1,000 contracts. Every time 100 contracts trade, I'm going to buy a percentage, basically, of my original order type. Let's say the order type is 300. And I put it in, and you can see that it put in a slice of that. And that is how time duration works. Volume duration is effectively going to slice out your parent order quantity and put children in for every percentage of that quantity that is actually executed. TT volume slice, again, the same type of thing. For every time X amount of quantity goes, it's going to put in a piece of quantity. Now, the way the duration orders are different than the regular slicers is duration order. You put a basket, not a basket, I put a barrier on it basically. So the duration order, going back to the volume duration, says it's going to be based on X amount of quantity. So you'll see an interval of 100, duration of 1,000. But then when I go to a volume sliced, that configuration is just an interval. It doesn't really have that net quantity. So now what it's going to say is for every 10 contracts, I'm going to go ahead and start buying stuff. For every 100 contracts, I'm going to go and put in joint bids. It's not going to say we're going to gauge that off of the total vast basket of 1,000 contracts or 5,000 contracts. The slicer is just going to be for every time your number of contracts trade, I want to put an order in. Hopefully that makes sense. It's a little tricky to get that down into words, but that's the way they kind of work. Another thing I wanted to point out is if you have questions on any of these order types or anything else, click on support. All you got to do is type in TT order type. And it's going to take you to, and hit enter. It's going to open up a new browser. In that browser, it's going to show you the help library for how the order type works. And you can do that for specific ones as well too. Let's say you just want to do a TT time duration, enter. It's going to bring you to the help library, and it's going to bring you to that section that is specific to time duration or volume duration, and it's going to show you how to actually build that and control that. Let's go back to where we were. TT with a tick. And someone actually submitted a question about TT with a tick. How do I put in an order based off of quantity or whatever? How do I get aggressive? That's what a TT with a tick is. TT with a tick is many years ago, I worked in the pits of the Mercantile Exchange in the Eurodollar pit, and that was something we begged for. Basically, we asked banks that put orders into the pits all the time, can we take a tick on that? It was basically a flick of an earlobe. And what that meant is I want to work this with a tick. So effectively, let's say I'm working a 15 bid on 100 contracts, and there are 500 offered at 16. You could say work with a tick, and if the offer at 16 goes down below 300, I want to take my 15 bid and 100 and just go up to 16 and buy that now, because I'm afraid that offer is going to go away. So I want to make sure I get filled. All right. So that's what a with a tick does. Same thing on the sell side. Let's say I want to sell 100 contracts at a price of 20, and the 19 bid is for 1,000. I can do a TT with a tick and say, I'm going to call it 400% right now. What the 400% means, my order type is 100 contracts. I'm offering 100 at 20. If the bid quantity goes below 400, which is 400% of my order quantity of 100, I'm going to go down to 19. I'm going to sell 19 instead of that 20. So that's what a with it tick does. It aggresses in the market based off of your preset parameter. So that's kind of it. That kind of goes through all the base order types. There are a few more TT order types to get into. TT Sniper is available to people. TT Sniper. TT Sniper is something refers to ghost order, and effectively what it does is it waits until your price and quantity is available, and then it enters the order. It doesn't sit at the matching engine. It sits on a TT co-located server until we know that order is going to get filled. Once we know that order is going to get filled, boom, it's going to submit the order and it's going to gobble up and take it. Most of these other ones that are in here are order types that I've built myself. So I won't get into those, but those are the ones I really kind of wanted to get into. There's also a TT conditional order. TT conditional order allows you to effectively buy one contract and sell another market is one use case. People used to ask about these all the time. Like, let's say if December treasury bonds trade at a price of 15, if they do trade at a price of 15, well, then I want to sell 100 December notes, 10-year notes at a price of 20. That's what it'll do. It'll effectively trigger it and say, I want to work an order over in this market because of something that happened in this other market. So if something happened in the E-mini, I want to enter an order in the mini NASDAQ, things like that. There's ways to get around that, ways to do that. So that's kind of it. So that's a quick walk through the order types. And I know I covered them at a very high level, but hopefully that answers some questions for you, how they work. You can always reach out to me about these things. A few of the things, there were some questions that came across, and we're going to get into the questions now. If you have any questions about the order types, we look in the questions. We do have a Q&A section of the Zoom meeting that you can get into. Click on the Q&A. You can enter your questions there. I encourage you to do that. I'll answer them. I'm going to go through and answer some of the questions that came in prior to this event right now. First one happened to be, how do I pay down automatically? And that is, of course, with the tick order type that I just showed. Hopefully that answered that. Another question that came across was, when I roll an instrument ND trader, how do I keep the same default quantity? Well, the best way to do that is, here's an example. Right now we're going through the treasury rolls, and you want to make sure that when I go from the September contract to the December contract, I want my same default quantity there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a new ND trader. Bonds. You can see my default quantity right now is set to 5. It is set to 5. Why is it set like that? It's set like that because we have this functionality in TT called, not functionality, this tool called order profiles. Oops, right over here. What do order profiles do? Order profiles basically say that I want my orders to work thusly. I want my orders to do whatever I want. There's a lot of things to get in here. Let me get it open real quick. What order profiles do is it basically says that for this product at this time, I want to always have my default quantity set up 5. Now here's mine set up for different products like crude. Crude, I have my order profile set up. Anytime we do a crude contract, doesn't matter what the contract is or what the expiry is. Anytime we do a crude contract, it's going to say my order quantity is going to be 2. So when I roll my contract in crude, and I was doing 2 contracts, say in September, I rolled to October, it's going to default back to 2 again right away. So that's what order defaults does. They're real easy to do. Click on add a rule. I'm going to go to notes this time. I'll go ZN. 10-year notes, futures. I'm going to put my default quantity at 20, just like that. Click add rule. I'm sorry, I now have to click on save to save that. Save changes. That's duplicates already in there, so that's all right. But that's effectively what the order defaults will do, or the order profiles will do. It allow you to build defaults like that so you can get in and not worry about those. And your order types, your order default quantities will stay the same whenever you're doing a roll. Next question happened to be about order profiles. How can profiles work on, or can order profiles work in different workspaces? Yes, of course they can. That is the beauty of the cloud. With the cloud, your workspaces and your profiles and your auto spreader configurations, they all travel with you. So if you trade an office downtown and you want to go home and trade it from home that day, You're going to have the same workspace, the same order profiles, the same auto spreader configurations. They're going to go with you. Doesn't matter where you go. You can go to your in-laws house. You can go to your friend's house. You can go to the public library, log into a browser. You can still get your workspace right there. You can still get all of your order profiles. You can still get all your configurations. So that is thanks to the cloud. So great thing. One of the wonderful reasons we went to the TT platform structure a long time ago. My positions can be spread across similar products, and it's difficult to tell from long or short. All right, we have what's in TT. This came in a couple months ago. We have what's called product groups, and within product groups, I'm not going to get into how to set that up right now, but within product groups, look that up. You can click into support, click into product groups, type product groups. It'll take you to the help library and show you how to set that up. What are the product groups? How to actually configure them? What the product groups will do is it will bucket your contracts together. So let's go back to crude, and let's say that you're trading crude at ICE. You're also trading crude at CME, and you're also trading the crude TAS contract, and you're not sure if you're long or you're short. Well, what the order profiles will do, what the product groups will do, it'll cluster that all together. So if I'm short 5 crude at ICE and I'm short, let's say I'm long 7 crude at CME, it'll bucket that together and I'll put my net position as +2. So it'll bucket them together, even though you're across exchanges. You can say what you want in that bucket. You can put different contracts in the bucket. You can control all that. So that's how you go about creating your position, basically, and keep track of your position and have a better understanding if you're long or short when you're trading a bunch of similar contracts that you want to kind of cluster together. Manual fillers are slow on XT, and I can't delete them. You can delete manual fills when you create a manual fill. You can just go in, and within there, you'll see there's a functionality when you highlight a manual fill that you put in there or manual position you put in. You can highlight that, and if you right-click on that line item in the position manager, there should be a function that allows you to clone it and reverse the position. Let me go in there real quick. Miscellaneous. Oops, sorry. Miscellaneous position manager. I'm gonna add a row real quick. And I've had this question a lot actually, so let me show it. What do I want to do here? So contract. I'm going to say this is going to be. I'm going to say it's corn. I'm going to say it's D's corn. It's going to seed the price in there. I'm going to say our price is. I forget what corn is right now. Let's say it's 6.22. And I can take that 6.22. 4. All right, so now I've got a position of 6.22.4, and if I go back to my positions down here, I'm going to put another position on there real quick. Positions. And what you're going to see is, as soon as I publish this, oops, I'll do found row 1. What do I do? I didn't know quantity, I wonder. That was a good post message. The post message popped up and said that you don't have any of that, so you can't do that. Well, actually I do. I'm going to publish this. And you see my corn position now pops up in here that I just published. But let's say there was an error in there. That was a wrong price or something like that. You can go in and right click on this. And you know what? You can clone selected rows, but actually what I wanted was a local fill. Here's some local fills that I had before. And what I wanted to show what you can actually do is you can go in and clone that and offset it. So let me add another one real quick. $40, I'm gonna use a price of $525.9. And we're at $525.4. $525.4. Oh, come on. Oh, anyway. Sorry about that. Let me get the contract in again. These corn, 525. I'm going to publish this. And I can go and right click on it and Should go to clone and offset. Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. Clone and reverse. I can click on the row and I can click on clone and reverse, and it's going to offset that right away now. So now I've got the buy and the sell. My bad. Sorry with that. I did not get that right away, but that's how you actually clone and reverse that. So I had a question come in. If I make an error when I'm doing one, putting one in, a local fill, how to get rid of it. That's how you get rid of it. You offset it just like that, and you'll see what I have there. How do I roll a contract on, how can I use auto spreader for NASDAQ and E-mini? We put a tweet out about this like 2 weeks ago. There are files within TT in the auto spreader help library that shows you how to do some base simple spread configurations. That's when I do that. Look that up. Look up in the auto spreader help library. It'll show you how to do that. How do I roll a contract in TT? There's actually a lot of ways to do that. Let me show you one way real quick. ZN. Let's go to the September note. One way to roll it is just go into market grid, right click, and go to roll instrument. That took me to DECE. Another way to do that is on ND Trader. On your ND Trader, you can right click on the tab down here where it says December. Go to change instrument. It's going to take you right to that product. Now I can take it out to March 22, just like that. And that's been rolled. Can I launch a trailing stop with if touch logic? Not really. There's one way to do it, that you actually launch a bracket order off the trailing stop and then cancel your profit order, but you can't really natively do that. You can't really launch a trailing stop with if touch logic. We had another person ask about how to identify ICE reject orders when they're actually spreading. How do you actually get the exchange to, or how do I know if I've been rejected on something? You can't really do it natively with the alerts manager, but what you can do, you can go into trade sounds and you can configure it that way. Go into trade, go into references, go into sounds. And you'd have to go into here and get that. It's not going to be exchange specific, but you can set up reject sounds based off of that. The question had to do more with alerts manager, and I'll show you alerts manager. We do have a fully functional and rich in functionality alerts manager. It's like this, and you can set up alerts that way too. Like here's an ICE reject one, but it doesn't really work quite the same on ICE because of the way they send their messages. So you need to do that through trade sound or through the sounds functionality in the base platform itself, not the manager. Is there a way to bracket order? Is there a way to do bracket orders with Iceberg limit entry and Iceberg exit paired with stop order? Not natively, no. Not that difficult to do in ADL. Well, it is kind of difficult to do, but for someone who's been around ADL, it's not that hard to do. You can build that order type in ADL. ADL is a great tool for building order types. That's what I do in there quite a bit, building specific order types. Another question, is there a way to set up default quantities? Please show an example. Kind of showed you how to do that already in order profiles. You can do that in order profiles. Another question that came across today was, are TT order types available for crypto orders? The specific trader wanted to do an Iceberg on Polkadot. You can do that. That's another differentiator that TT has. You can do TT order types like the ones I showed you, the bracket orders, trailing stops, trailing limits. You can do TT order types on the crypto exchanges, and that includes Coinbase, BitMEX, Deribit, and of course CME and the ICE exchange for Backed. And one more question came across while we've been here. Can TT if touched blended with a bracket order or TT sniper? Can TT if touched be blended with a bracket order? Well, let's look at that. Not really. There's not a lot of in-depth functionality you can do just with the TT if touched order type. I'll bring one up just to show it. So let's go back to a TT if touched. Here. And what you're going to see now is with the if touched, you can't really blend it in with exactly what you're looking for. There's a lot of stuff you can do, but to trigger it off that way, let's go back to the question again. TT if touched be blended with a bracket order? No, it can't be touched with blended with a bracket order, or TT, no. You can't actually marry those two. Again, that's something that can be built in ADL. Not horribly difficult to do. I guess it would be for a beginner, but it's not too complex. It's one thing you can do with ADL, and that's one of the ways a lot of people do with TT order types. One of the nice things about TT order types too is if you do have access to ADL, you have a pro license, you can open a lot of these order types up in ADL itself and tweak them and build them and redesign them yourself and create a new different type of functionality, a new type of order type, and make your own type of if touched order, make your own type of bracket order, make your own type of whatever order type. But a lot of these TT order types, again, are available in ADL, so you can open them up and see how TT developers actually engineered this and put it together themselves. It's a great way to learn it. It's a great way to learn how to use TT or ADL is to go and rebuild the TT order types. One thing, let's see, where are we at now? We're at about 37 minutes into it. We'll go a couple more minutes longer and go into some of the configurations. I know some people have asked about the general configurations on order types themselves. What do they all mean? So I'll go into that since we have some time here. And I'm going to use the bracket order as really my base case. And let me get rid of some of this noise back behind it. And I've got my crude contract still here. So I'm going to go into a TT bracket order. One thing to highlight, wanted to point out too, is you can always map your order types to buttons here in ND Trader. Let's not forget that as well too. How do you do that? I get asked that a good deal too. Right click on the order pane section of MD Trader just like this. Go into edit custom action buttons. And I want to add one in here. So I'm going to click on the plus button. I'm going to go to, I want to add in my TT time slice. TT time slice, you can do that. You can change the name and call it just TTTS, TTTS, just like that. And you're going to have access to it of your TT order types, just like that, instead of going through the drop down. You could do that for templates as well too, but I'll get into that another time, how to work in templates. So real quick, I'm going to walk through TT bracket and some of the configurations you have in there. And this is what I mean by templates. I have a bunch of templates set up for TT order types already. And I'm going to click on this one, which I renamed as 8P2TS, which to me is an 8-tick profit, 2 trailing stop loss. And that's the way that one works. And let's go and open it up again right here and look at some of the configurations. Here's a typical TT order type. This is a TT bracket. And profit target, I think everyone understands that. How many ticks away is your profit? Stop loss, how many ticks away is your stop loss? Now I set this, instead of by default, this would have been set to TT limit order, but I changed that to TT stop order, which brings you into one of the layering effects of TT order types. You can kind of layer TT order types into a single order type. Now, again, we're doing TT bracket here, which is basically a limit order with a TT OCO as well. But also what we have here now is now I'm adding a TT stop logic to it as well too. So TT stop, which is a TT order type, is put in a TT bracket, which is TT order type. And down below here, you'll see we can also do a little bit more stuff with that. But let's go through some of these things real quick. With the tick, what's with the tick going to do? With the tick is going to say that, that's what we're talking about earlier, TT with the tick, that functionality is in there as well too. So the TT order type with a tick can be part of your TT bracket. Basically says I'm working a 15 bid and the 16 is going to go away. Go ahead and aggress up and go get it. So that's what the with tick does. What does this auto resubmit upon GTD expiry mean? That basically says that it's allowing you to work a GTC order on a GTD. GTD is a GTD day, but you want that to come back and work in the next session. Click that box. It'll do it for you. GTD stop settings. What are these all about? Price type. How do I want to trigger my GTD stop? This is how the stops differ from stops at the exchanges, native stop orders, basically. You can say, I want my stop to trigger off the LTP. That's what the exchange does. No, I want my stop to trigger off the bid, off the ask, the same side or the opposite side. And what's same side and opposite side? Same side and opposite side allows you to configure your order to work the same whether it's buy side logic or sell side logic. The same side, if it's a buy stop, of course, you're always going to be looking at the opposites, the offer basically, or the bid. And if it's the same side, it's going to be bid. If the opposite side, you want to look at the offer side. So that's what same side, off side really do. I didn't explain that well. Let me explain that in a little more detail. Same side evaluates the trigger using the inside market of the buy-sell direction of the order. So best bid for buys, best ask for sells. Opposite side evaluates the trigger using the opposite side of the buy-sell direction of the order. Best ask for buys, best bid for sells. So that's what the buy side, that's what the different configurations do. But again, that's the differentiator. That's how the order types are different from the exchange order types, exchange native ones. What's reset for? Reset is there for if you want to base off, let's say you're going to have a stop and it's based off of the opposite market. In the opposite market, you want if the LTP trades 20 times. So, or yeah, basically that. So if I'm going to stop out and bid up if the opposite market, I'm bidding 15. If the opposite market goes down and trades 20 times, let's say the market goes and trades on the offer 5 times, it bounces back up. Well, if it comes back down, I still want that 20 times to trade through. I'm not going to count those through. So I click on reset. Reset's going to say it's going to have to be 20 times again since it got back down there, as opposed to trading 5, going away, coming back down. Now it would only be 15 more to trigger that stop. No, I still want 20. So if it trades 5, trades away, goes back, I'm still going to get 20 if I click that reset button. Trail is like I explained before, you can set a trailing stop. So it'll be a trailing stop instead of a just regular stop. The market, follow the market along. Exclude implied prices, kind of is what it is. If you're working a market with implied prices, say it's Eurodollar, it's crude, something like that, you may not want to consider implied prices in your stop logic. You may want to get stopped out because of implied price. You can understand that. So you check that box and implied prices will not trigger your stops then. Second condition allows you to effectively add on to your first condition. Your first condition is my LTP quantity has to be greater than 1, but now on top of that, I want my, let's say I want my ask quantity to be greater than 30, whatever it is. You can keep layering in more conditions to your order, to your stop rules, and basically say, I don't want to do this unless not only does the LTP have to be more than 1, now I also want the ask to be more than 30. I put in 39, but you can put in additional conditions. And then once the trigger occurs, once that condition and this condition meet, what's it going to submit? Submit a limit order, submit a market order, or an MLM market. That's only good for ASX. But, and you can say it's going to be day or GTC. You can have a pay-up configuration. What's pay-up mean? Pay-up basically means that if my stop is triggered and I should go buy 15s, the pay-up is say, I'm going to put my bid in actually at 16. I'm going to try and sweep through 15s. I'm going to buy 16s instead. If there are 15s there, it'll buy the 15s, but the pay-up's going to hopefully ensure that you do actually get filled. Last on here is precondition. What is precondition all about? Precondition is before all this stuff even happens. This is stuff that has to happen before your parent order even starts to work. So let's say that I want to do a TT bracket order and I want to work it on a stop and I want to buy it up here. Say at 68.31, but I don't even want that stop to even start working until something else happens. So I can trigger a stop to get that going. I can put a stop up there. I can say like an if touched order. Say if touched now, if 31s are touched as an LTP, or just we said before, bid or ask or whatever you want to do it off of, it's going to start working my parent synthetic order. It'll start my bracket order, but my bracket order is not going to start working or consider working until this precondition is met. So that's what the precondition is met. It's before all this even goes on. Before all this logic we have up here is entered, this precondition stuff has to be entered or has to be met. So that's kind of it. That's kind of my quick spiel through TT order types. Hopefully we answered some questions. Hopefully we didn't really bring about more questions, but if we did, that's great too. That's fantastic. If you have questions, reach out to me, reach out to your CS rep, or just reach out to me probably. You can get me at patrick@trade.tt. That's my email address. You can follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter at Patrick Rooney. I'm on LinkedIn. All this stuff I put out there all the time on Twitter as well as on LinkedIn. I put it on my YouTube channel too. Get to know me. I'll show you how to get to that as well too. It explains the order types, explains a lot of the TT functionality, but keep an eye on that for that stuff because a lot of the stuff that I covered today has been covered in TT Tips. TT Tips is a program we do on Twitter that's hashtag TT Tips. Follow that hashtag. You'll see that we tweet out 2 different TT tips every day. One's brand new. The one midday is probably the one we've done before. But the one at 7 o'clock in the morning, that's going to be a brand new tip that I just wrote that week. It's a tip how to use the TT platform. So follow that, learn, ask questions, reach out to me. If you have any more additional questions, I'd be happy to help you, walk you through that. That's kind of it. That's our initial presentation of TT office hours. If you have any additional questions, again, please reach out. I don't see any questions coming across in the queue, and we lost one participant so far in the last couple minutes, so it's scaled down a little bit. This will be recorded, so you can have access to it again if you want to watch again. And send me questions. Like I said, let me know what else you want to hear about, what you want to learn about, and we'll go through that. But with that, we're at 47 minutes right now, so I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to sign out. Hopefully you all learned something, and we will talk again soon. So that's it. That is our presentation for today. Take care, everybody, and we will talk to you soon.